Hi, I'm Alan Satchwell, a singer-songwriter and a jazz trumpeter, and the worship director at Santa Ynez Valley Presbyterian Church. I've been here 26 years. I started in the Hollywood music business in the 80s, singing background vocals for the TV show Solid Gold, and writing. I got 2 development deals, one with Scotti Brothers Records and one with Interscope Records as a singer-songwriter. A lot of songs in movies. Got to sing on some important records in those days, back in the days when everything was on 2-inch tape. So this is a Steinway Model M from the year 1927. I went to the database and found the serial number, still with Steinway, of course, who's in business. And they said, they recommended that I send it to the factory, of course, shipping it to New York, and that it needed $60,000 worth of work on it. Of course, it was donated from the Tuttle family, by the Tuttle family, and we're very grateful for that. Already you can see that we've replaced the bass strings because they were all original and pretty tired, and we're about to send out the action, pull out the action and send it to Chatsworth, to Pacific Piano, and have the hammers totally replaced by Steinway hammers. So we're looking forward to a very mellow-sounding, sweet-sounding piano. As you can see, if you play it really softly, actually, the technique you want to use is to put on the soft pedal, because then it moves the hammers off the grooves. And you can hear the sweet. So get all new hammers and get that sound, but obviously get more volume out of it, and then we'll have a piano that we want to record with. Pianos are all different, obviously, and the Steinway, just by name, it's like my daughter who went to Juilliard. Well, you get a Steinway, you send your kid to Juilliard. Names are very important, but it wasn't really until recently that I got a Steinway that I realized just the resonance. So it's this, the quality of the materials and workmanship, and then the soundboard and everything is far superior. So you have... And regardless of how hard the hammers are, Steinway is a much warmer sound, so the hammers are softer. What we have in the sanctuary is a Yamaha C7, and the hammers are harder, and it's really bright. Generally, you want a warmer sound for classical and jazz, and the brighter sound for pop, mostly because during the 80s, all it was that David Foster, really heavy-hammered stuff.
Did you have a real piano growing up?
We had a Kanabe. And it was from about this year, and it's just, my parents want to give it to me. But it's a wonderful piano, yeah. And I started playing when I was 13 or 14 writing songs. Remember, this was my first chord. My only music instruction when I was young was on the trumpet, and I was taught to read and play classical. It wasn't until much later that I picked up jazz, like the age of 30. I never studied piano. I just played by ear and wrote songs. What I did more than anything was a songwriter, singer-songwriter. That's what I did all the time after I left UCLA to the time that I well, even presently, until I got back to the trumpet primarily. I wrote songs and recorded songs even during the time that I did choirs here at the church. We had a very successful choir program for 25 years. and I was a conductor. So we came up here because I just gotten married to Christy, and we didn't want to be down in LA anymore. And we were very blessed and lucky that there was a job opening here, and Jeff Bridgman, the pastor at the time, wanted somebody to shake things up. And at the time I had long hair, which I still happen to have, but this is the longest it's been in 10 years, and a beard, and it looked like Jesus. And it was really offensive to a lot of the older people when they saw this guy come in, because I was coming in primarily as their choir director. I did the worship band as well. I was able to play piano and sing, and I was still writing my songs for the church. But the main thing was directing the choir, Messiah, Handel's Messiah, Mozart, and then anthems of the church and hymns of the church. So it was very fun to be able to transition and have this job and have a place for my family, that we had 4 kids, and be here, do the choir, but the whole time I kept writing and recording. I had a band when I first got here called Emmaus Road. Then I went to a band called Remnant with Ron Crockett, Rob Cantrell, and Sanjeev Sant Singh. Then I did a Hawaiian project, Hana and Satchwell, with Rick Anthony in 2010, and we won 2 Hawaii Music Awards and went to Hawaii to accept them. And then I did another project called Band of Brothers, where it was all my original Christian music and mostly performed in Lompoc and Santa Maria.
When did you start performing?
When I was 13, I performed in church on the trumpet. I started when I was 8, performed in church on the trumpet when I was 9. When I was 13, I played in a group with a fellow from the Lawrence Welk show. And the group was my best friend to this day, Don French, on accordion, but he's a producer, piano player, worship leader now. And then there were some singers in it. And we toured a little bit. And I was 13. I don't like performing. It's part of my overarching story has been dealing with stage fright. And the only reason I ever started a choir is because I wanted them to do the singing. And my back was to the audience. So yeah, stage fright's tough for everybody. Some people can't do it at all. But the interesting, wonderful thing about bringing the trumpet back in and the jazz is that, of course, I'm hiding behind the trumpet a little bit, but I'm also singing a lot now, but it's other people's songs. It's standards that are proven, that sound good with my voice. So getting up there and doing my own songs, performing, has always been scary. And I haven't done it enough. So in the 80s, I would write in the mornings in Jay Graydon's studio. Jay Graydon was a collaborator with David Foster. He was the guitar player. They did all the Manhattan Transfer stuff. They did After the Love Is Gone. They wrote that. And I was in the studio where it was recorded in. And it was a Yamaha C7 mic'd with large diaphragm AKG microphones. And I would play that piano. But it was this it had the warmth, but it had that brightness and attack. So I got to change my key. So because those hammers are too hard, that's how that piano sounded, too bright. And but that's what they wanted in those records, and you can hear that sort of the 80s sound, that the walk up and things. And Jay Graydon would be upstairs sleeping all day, and then he'd come down at night and work in his studio, which was called Garden Rake in Sherman Oaks. But I wrote with his gal friend. We wrote songs together. We got to use his studio during the day. Well, the harmonic structure of all pop music, including Christian music, has completely changed from what I played earlier. back when you used to have real chords, to just 3 chords. So the original Jesus movement worship songs of the 70s all had the harmonic language of pop music at the time. And then pop music dumbed down, pardon the expression, to the 3 or 4 chords that's in every pop song now, and Christian music followed. It's amazing what you can do with 3 or 4 chords and different grooves and different melodies. You can still write hook melodies, but you're really missing those overarching songs of the 70s and 80s in rock, where you have the emotional impact of melodies over a chord structure that takes you somewhere. That's what people want. So jazz, of course, is jazz. It's from the 40s, 50s, 60s, Miles Davis, 70s, and I don't play jazz. I can't do it. It's very sophisticated and really wonderful that the jazz harmonic language has stayed pretty much the same and allows for improvisation and joy and fulfillment in that way. Housey, and then trumpets come in. And again, I said, this is that Herb Alpert sort of feel, which is so retro.